Hi, welcome to my craft room. I'm going to continue on with the challenge from Barb Hunt. We are working with the Faith in Nature Hostess set. This is a great set for watercoloring. It's a line image, so you have a lot of area to color in. So let's get going. First of all, you might wonder why watercolor paper. Let me just tell you a little bit about the properties of that. Number one, it's 140 pounds in weight, which is a lot heavier than regular cardstock. Cardstock averages about 80 to 90 pounds in weight. Secondly, this is a cold press. Now that may not mean a thing to you, but there are three surfaces in watercolor paper. There's the rough, the hot, and the cold press. The hot press is a very smooth surface. The rough is a high texture, and the cold press is in between those two. Stampin' Up! Has chose the perfect surface here so that it's easy to work with in the different mediums that Stampin' Up! Has to offer. Your pastels, your crayon, watercolors, and your markers. So, also these are 6x9 size sheets, and you get 5 of them in a package, so it goes a long ways. You don't make a whole card out of watercolor paper. As you can see here from Barb's card, you just use small portions. So it goes a long ways. The thing I love to do most is watercolor. Second is 3D art. So for me to even come close to Barb's card there, I'm going to have to really boost this up. So that's what I'm going to do. When you are doing 3D art, and some of this is my own ideas, some of it I've studied, but what you're going to do is you are going to color in on, this is the base, you're going to color in just around the inner portion of that line. And this is multiple lines. That's all there is to it. And you do that on layers 1 and 2. And you color in your leaf. And the reason you do this is just in case any of this should show once you get this rounded and mounted on. Okay, so let's get this into, we're going to work with, when I look at this, I see, this is going to be our top layer. And when I look at this, I see an oval. So that's the shape I wanted to go with. And Stampin' Up! Has just the thing. These are our embossing folders. They come in two shapes, a rectangle and an oval. And so we are going to emboss these and then trim them out. I've got this all lined up in my frame. We're going to sandwich this. It's on tab 1. Oops, and see the little arrow? I want to turn it so that where you open up that goes in first. Crank it through. And this is the big shot that is still on special. It's not too late to sign up and be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And voila, there we have it. I'm going to trim this out now. So let me get my scissors. You want to trim around the outer portion of your oval frame. If you have any little parts that are sticking out, make sure you trim those down. This is layer 1. This will be layer 2. I've already trimmed around this, and when you're trimming this, you want to go on the outer portion of that dark line. And it looks like here you still see a little bit of white. It's because I chose not to color it in thoroughly. Do the same thing with your leaf. Then I take my marker, and this is the So Saffron, and I go all around. I go all around the outer portion so that just in case any of this should show, I want it to look like this is thoroughly colored. I want to do the same thing with your leaf. Go all around that outer portion. Next, you want to curl this. These are brushes, paint brushes that Stampin' Up! Used to sell. And this watercolor paper curls beautifully. I bend it one way, then I bend it another. I want to give it a lot of flexibility. And I'm over exaggerating this. Do the same thing with your leaf. You want to give this shape. Bend it around that brush so that you can see how curved that is. Then you're going to use, get ready for this, believe it or not, this is Tub and Tile Polyester Bathroom Sealant. I got this at Lowe's. You can get it at any place like that. You're going to use this medium and we're going to put it onto our pears and it will give this type of an effect. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's really nice and curled up. And because this is something that I use a lot, I love 3D art. This tube is halfway gone. So you want to squeeze a generous portion into that. Can you see how much I've got in there? Quite a generous portion. Do the same thing to your leaf. This time, because the leaf is very tiny though, you're not going to have quite as much. I even put a little bit, this shrinks down. That's one thing I want to draw to your attention. I let this dry overnight and it'll surprise you how much this shrinks down. But you don't want it to be so high that, because you've got 3 layers, you don't want it to be so high that it's sticking an inch up off your card. I take this and I spread it. This is just an old knife that I've now added into my crafting materials. I use it a lot. Okay, with this, you can see I do not want this close to the edge, because once you begin to form this, it could seep out and it's hard to get out once it does that. So I am taking that knife and I'm bringing it back ever so slightly. Now, I am going to place that under there, and at this point I'm taking my finger and just spreading it down ever so slightly. I want to look at the top and see that I've got my portions. It's lined up with my top, with my sides, both of them. And at the base is where this one's going to curl. And I kind of let it curl where it wants to. But that looks just about perfect. And when that shrinks down, it'll be a little bit tighter to that. Here's my leaf. And I cut off this little portion right in here off of this because I wanted it to be more in the background. Now with the leaf, it's wanting to stand up right where it connects at that stem. You don't want that. You want it to connect at that stem. So just take your finger, and this time you're getting your lift on this portion. Kind of leans the way it wants to. There's just a few little things that you want to follow. So now, once that dries, it's going to look just like this. And then we're going to add our next portion. You're going to round this the same as you did your layer 2. Round it the exact same way. Nothing has changed. You're going to put your sealant and you will add that onto that. And once you have it all together, this is what it looks like. I've already added some of our dazzling details, our glitter glue, which let me show you what that looks like. And I didn't go all the way around. I wanted to hit particular areas. Like I did just a little bit of indentation here and just slight portions here and then just a little bit here on my leaf. What do you think? In comparison to this, I like the colors much, much better. Thank you so much for dropping by. If you have any questions, be sure and check out my website or email me with your questions. I'd be happy to answer any concerns that you might have. I'm here for you. Thank you.